House, the President has appointed a minister responsible for parliamentary affairs and who is the head of government business in the House. So it cannot be said that the introduction of the bills happened on the blind side of Mr. President, because his minister responsible for parliamentary affairs and head of government business in the House was here sitting in this House and participated in conclave with you, Mr. Speaker, and is aware that such bills are being introduced in this House. So Mr. President is constructively aware of the exercise of your discretion to admit this bill. Mr. Speaker, beyond him, the President has a Minister for Justice and Attorney General, who is a non-voting member of this House, and who is aware of this bill. Indeed, officials of the ministry were conscripted and participated in helping to shape the final outcome of the bill. And I participated in some of the seminars and the meetings where officials of the Attorney General were present and helped to shape this bill. So again, the President is constructively aware of the exercise of your discretion to admit this bill. So he cannot, after everything is done, go and write a letter like this to this House. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that there is a provision in Article 69 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, Article 69 of the Constitution is very, very important. That is the article that deals with the issue of removal of president. Removal of president. Mr. Speaker, it's very, very important. Removal of president. It says that the president shall be removed from office if he is found in accordance with the provisions of this article. A, to have acted in willful violation of the oath of allegiance and the presidential oath set out in the second schedule, or in willful violation of any other provision of this Constitution. Any other provision of this Constitution. If the President willfully violates any other provision of this Constitution, it is grounds for his removal, Mr. President.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, it is grounds for his removal. And I went to pains to establish the fact that the President was aware of what happened, encouraged what happened, patronized what happened, and after it had happened, all in accordance with the Constitution, he then willfully, Mr. Speaker, willfully sat and wrote a letter and clearly violated provisions of the Constitution. That is why I'm drawing attention to the fact that what he has done constitutes grounds for his removal. They constitute grounds for the removal of Mr. President. So, Mr. Speaker, this is not a light matter. I don't want to go into the details because what you have said, Mr. Speaker, is enough to explain the legal implications of what he has done. Mr. Speaker, I don't believe that there is any other useful legal argument that we can make in support of what you have already said. It is within your discretion to admit a private member's bill, even if in fact, Mr. Speaker, even if in fact you abuse your discretion, it is not through a letter to this House that Mr. President can exercise your own abuse of your discretion. Even if, without admitting that you abuse your discretion, that you interpreted the Constitution wrongly, that the bill actually had financial implications, but you decided not to admit that they have financial implications and went ahead and admitted those bills to be considered by this. Even if you abuse your discretion, the position of this Constitution is that the President cannot write a letter to you or this House saying that he will not sign or assent to a bill or refer it to the Council of State because he thinks that the bill had financial implications and therefore were in violation of the Constitution. That is where I see the flagrant violation of the Constitution by Mr. President. That's why I'm drawing his attention to Article 69.